Mom, there's a girl at school who looks exactly like me. Like, exactly. That's what made Rachel Morgan drop her coffee mug that Tuesday morning. In 6 years of being a single mom, she'd heard her daughter say plenty of wild things. But this felt different. The day had started like any other alarm, blaring too early, waffles burning in the toaster, and Lily humming Taylor Swift in the bathroom while brushing her teeth. Rachel was on autopilot packing lunch, digging through drawers for matching socks when Lily tugged gently at her sleeve. She laughs like me, Lily said. She even has the same freckle on her neck. Rachel paused halfway through tying Lily's sneakers. Freckle, she repeated. Lily nodded, eyes wide. Right here, Mommy, just like mine. Something about her voice so sure, so calm, made Rachel's stomach flip. That afternoon, Rachel stood outside Maplewood Elementary, watching the flood of kids rush out in bursts of laughter and backpacks. She didn't know what she expected, maybe a vague resemblance, maybe nothing at all. But when she saw Lily walking hand in hand with another little girl, Rachel's heart stopped. The other girl was Lily. Same height, same face, same soft brown eyes and dimpled smile. Even the exact same tiny birthmark beneath the right collarbone. It wasn't a look-alike. It was like seeing her daughter duplicated. Rachel stood frozen, her pulse racing. Lily spotted her and waved excitedly. Mommy, this is Arya. Isn't she awesome? The girl Arya smiled shyly and gave a little wave. Rachel's breath caught in her throat. A teacher nearby must have seen the confusion on her face. She walked over concerned. Is everything all right, Ms. Morgan? Rachel barely managed to whisper. Who is that little girl? Oh, that's Arya Shepherd, the teacher replied casually. She just transferred here 2 weeks ago. Sweet kid. She's in foster care. Foster care. That night, Rachel didn't cook, didn't clean, didn't answer emails. She sat on the edge of her bed staring at the old ultrasound tucked in her nightstand drawer. 2 tiny shapes, 2 heartbeats. One never came home. Or so she'd believed. But now, she wasn't so sure. Rachel didn't sleep that night. She sat alone in the living room, clutching a throw pillow, like it might hold her together. On the table lay Lily's old baby photo album. The pictures were grainy, snapped on an outdated phone, but they told a story. Of survival. Of hope. Of one tiny girl beating the odds after a complicated premature birth. But there was always a missing piece. One space she had never been able to fill. The other name. The second heartbeat from the ultrasound. Twin B, no heartbeat at 11:47 p.m. Rachel had accepted it. Not because she wanted to, but because she had no choice. Now, she wasn't so sure. The next morning, Rachel scheduled a DNA test through a local clinic. It was straightforward Lily's cheek swab and, if possible, Arya's. The hardest part was reaching Arya's foster family. She made the call calm, but insistent, asking for a supervised meeting. She didn't explain why. The appointment was set for Thursday afternoon. The house was modest, painted gray with sun-faded shutters. Rachel stepped inside and saw Arya sitting cross-legged on the carpet, piecing together a puzzle. When the girl looked up, something flickered across her face. Recognition. Hi, Rachel said, trying not to let her voice tremble. Hi, Arya replied. Then casually, Are you Lily's mom? Rachel nodded. Yeah, I am. She's funny, Arya said with a soft smile, then turned back to her puzzle. Rachel noticed it again, the way she tilted her head when concentrating, the tiny frown she made when stuck. They were Lily's mannerisms, or maybe Lily had picked them up from her. After explaining the DNA request, Rachel got a hesitant but eventual yes. Arya agreed to the cheek swab without hesitation. She even laughed a little. She said it tickled the foster mom, later told Rachel. 1 week later, Rachel received an email. Subject line DNA test results. Lily Morgan and Arya Shepherd. She couldn't breathe as she opened it. Probability of full sibling relationship, 99.9991%. Relationship, monozygotic twins, identical. The phone slid from her hand. She fell to her knees. And for the first time in 6 years, Rachel let herself fall apart. She had 2 daughters. 2. And one of them had been alive all along. She didn't waste a second. She called child services with the kind of voice that only a mother can summon. I need to speak to someone immediately. Arya Shepherd is my daughter. The person on the other end paused. Then, please hold. I'll transfer you to our legal department. From that point on, everything blurred. Paperwork, case numbers, home visits, social workers knocking on her door with folders in hand. Rachel answered every question, supplied every photo, every hospital record, every date she could remember. She told them what no one had ever asked her about the chaos in the NICU. The alarm blaring, the yells, the nurse's face ghost pale rushing into the room, the moment they handed her one child and said the other didn't make it. Now she saw Arya more often, first in short supervised visits, then longer ones. And every time she saw it, the connection, Lily and Arya didn't act like new friends. They acted like old secrets rediscovered, like two puzzle pieces snapping into place. They liked the same snacks, hated the same vegetables, finished each other's sentences, laughed at inside jokes they never should have known. One night, Rachel peeked into Lily's room and saw both girls curled up under the same blanket, whispering giggles into the dark. Her throat tightened. That sound it didn't belong to now. It belonged to 6 years ago, a sound stolen and finally returned. Then came the letter. A yellowed envelope, no return address, slipped into her mailbox. The handwriting on the front was shaky, almost trembling. Inside was a letter. Ms. Morgan, if you're reading this, you already know. I was the night nurse on duty when you gave birth. There was chaos. One twin was in distress, the other stable. Another baby in the NICU had coded. There were sirens, confusion. In the midst of it, I was handed your healthy baby to take for monitoring. When I returned, I was told your second child had passed. But I knew deep down that wasn't the baby I had taken. I told my supervisor. I begged for someone to double-check. They dismissed me, said I was overtired, said it was done, and I stayed silent. For 6 years. Rachel froze. A month later, I saw a local news report. A baby girl had been left at a fire station, wrapped in a hospital blanket. I knew it was her, but I was too scared. I didn't want to lose my job, my license. Now I have nothing left to protect. I've been diagnosed with terminal cancer. There's no time left for me, but I hope there's still time for you. Rachel sat motionless. Her hands trembled. Her heart thudded against her ribs. The nurse hadn't meant to take her child, but she hadn't fought hard enough to bring her back either. Now it was on Rachel. The very next morning, Rachel printed the letter. She placed it in a plastic sleeve along with the DNA report, the ultrasound photo, and a signed statement from Arya's foster family. Then she drove without music, without coffee, without speaking to the Department of Family Services in Albany. The building wasn't intimidating, but Rachel's hands were still trembling as she pushed through the glass doors. A woman behind the front desk looked up. "Can I help you?" "I need to speak to someone about a custody petition," Rachel said. Her voice didn't waver. Within an hour, she was seated across from a case officer, laying everything out. The DNA proof, the nurse's letter, hospital records from the night her daughters were born. Even old voicemails she'd saved where nurses had given updates on Lily's condition during those early NICU days. It all told a story no one had dared piece together until now. The case officer stared at the letter for a long time. Then she looked at Rachel. "You realize if this is true, it's a legal and medical failure on multiple levels." Rachel nodded. "I don't care about lawsuits. I'm not here to punish anyone. I just want my daughter home." It took weeks. Weeks of hearings, background checks, social worker interviews, psychological evaluations. And through it all, Rachel waited. Meanwhile, Lily and Arya were spending more time together. First under supervision, then longer weekends, then sleepovers. It was like they'd never been apart. They brushed each other's hair, shared clothes, called each other mirror sister. Even when they were silent, they mirrored each other's posture, same lean, same tilt of the head, same way of holding their spoon at breakfast. Rachel watched them sometimes from the kitchen doorway, tears welling quietly in her eyes. It wasn't just reunion, it was resurrection, a life stolen, slowly being returned. And then one Monday morning the call came. "Ms. Morgan, yes, this is Family Services. I'm calling to let you know your petition for full and permanent custody of Arya Shepherd has been approved." Rachel dropped the phone. She didn't cry, not at first. She just sank to her knees on the kitchen floor and let out a laugh, half joy, half disbelief. Her whole body trembled. 6 years of grief. 6 birthdays missed? 6 times she had baked one cake, not knowing another little girl somewhere else was blowing out a candle of her own. But that chapter was over now. Arya was coming home. That evening the front door creaked open. Rachel was waiting by the stairs. She didn't know whether to kneel or run or stand still. But when she saw that small purple suitcase roll over the threshold and Arya's bright eyes peek up at her, she didn't think at all. She just opened her arms, and Arya ran into them. No words, just arms wrapped tight, and the soft whispered weight of one single word from Arya's lips. Home. That night, after the girls fell asleep, curled up together in matching pajamas, one pink, one blue, Rachel pulled out Lily's old baby book. She flipped past the blank pages she'd never finished. Then carefully she pressed a photo onto the page. It was taken that afternoon, Lily and Aria sitting under the old maple tree, hair tangled in the breeze, eyes closed in laughter. Underneath she wrote, "Day 2, when Aria came home." A few days later, Rachel received another call, this time from Ridgewood Hospital. A new administrator, new leadership. "We've reopened the case," the voice on the line said. "We're deeply sorry. We'll be contacting all families involved. You'll receive a formal apology and report once our internal investigation is complete." Rachel hung up gently. She wasn't angry anymore. She didn't need an apology from a system. What she needed was already sleeping down the hall safe and warm. 2 girls. 1 heartbeat, finally whole. 1 week later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Rachel found herself writing a letter not to the hospital, not to a lawyer, but to herself. To the version of her who had walked out of that NICU 6 years ago broken and believing she had lost half of her soul. Dear Rachel, you didn't fail. You didn't lose her. They told you she was gone, but she wasn't. She found her way back to you. Because real love always finds its way home. That evening, while folding laundry, she heard the girls giggling outside. Rachel stepped onto the porch and watched them barefoot in the grass, chasing fireflies, screaming with joy. Lily stopped and looked up. "Mommy, look, we're catching stars." Rachel smiled, tears threatening again. "You already are, baby." She called them in for dinner the way she did every night now. 2 voices replied in perfect sync. "Coming, Mom." And as they ran toward her, hand in hand, glowing under the soft amber sky, Rachel knew this was it. The ending. And the beginning of everything that had ever mattered. Even the deepest loss can be healed. Even the longest separation can be reversed. Because love is never truly gone. It waits. It remembers. And when the time is right, it comes home.